Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome into the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 20 minutes or so, and it is as Football Friday as a Football Friday gets on the Rome Show here September 5th, 2025. Hope the people are doing well today. You should have gotten your fix of the National Football League last night as the Eagles defeated the Cowboys 24-20. That game gave us essentially everything you could possibly see in one singular NFL game, including a man ejected prior to playing a snap, a delay due to lightning in the area, and everything in between. So we'll break down Thursday night football for the people today. We also must finish 32 teams in 32 days. We have the other half of the NFC East. We'll break down the Giants and we'll break down the Cowboys, the Commanders. Also, by the way, and you might have forgotten this, it's been 7 months since football season, more so 8 months since we were in the regular season of the National Football League. But every Friday here on the Rome Show, broadcasting live on the Romanellas on YouTube, make sure you head over to youtube.com/the Romanellas and hit subscribe. It's been our new home all week. It's our new home heading into the future. Also, Twitter X, the Rome Show 1. That's Twitter X, the Rome Show, then the number 1 on your screen. Now, we go through every game in the National Football League to finish off our Friday show. It's a combination of
Dave.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Show watching.
It's a combination of what you're watching and a segment that comes and goes in flux, but we always bring back, we'll have our daily bananas, giving you the spread on every National Football League game. All right, we've gone through the pleasantries. You know where to follow the show. The Romanellas on YouTube or the Rome Show 1 on Twitter X. Let's talk some football. All right, the Eagles raised their banner to start the season. Some controversy around that as well, but we're not going to speak on that right now because there's so much more to get to. But Nick Sirianni has his team inside the locker room during the Super Bowl celebration, the presentation of last year's Lombardi, the hanging of their banner. Prior to the game, claims he had no idea that there was going to be a banner raising ceremony. Kind of wild, but nonetheless, very footballian of him. So that started off the preparation for this game. Then, 6 or 7 days prior to the game, Micah Parsons gets traded from the Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. Now it makes this game even more interesting outside of the fact that it's the start of the National Football League season. And the ball gets kicked off. All right. And you're saying to yourself, all right, this is going to be a good contest. The Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, season starts, Dak returns from injury, Saquon off of his best year of his career, second best year for a running back in the history of the game. What excitement. And Jalen Carter decides 6 seconds into the game, after the kickoff, before the first play of the game, he's going to spit on Dak Prescott, the best player on the Eagles defense, arguably the centerpiece of what the Eagles want to do defensively, decides he's going to spit on Dak Prescott, okay? Prior to the game even starting. Gets ejected. And then the whole game is different. You know, to be honest with you, I wonder how much the lightning delay affected this contest. And the Cowboys had just fumbled in the third quarter when the lightning delay hit, okay? They were down 21-20, I think, at that time. Something in that category, all right? And they just fumbled, okay? Big turnover inside the 25 of the Eagles. They turn them over, 4:44 left in the third quarter, and then the lightning delay comes. And that just kills the entire game. Okay, but the Cowboys, I think, played better than we may have imagined, but also because they didn't have to deal with one singular person they were game planning for the entire time in Jalen Carter. Unexcusable, gross. It's just like, what are we doing? Spitting on another man like that? Just some of the things I've seen the last few days from these professional athletes is embarrassing. You're arguably the best defensive lineman in the league. You're on the Super Bowl champs. It's day one of the season. Is that supposed to be cool and intimidating? Yeah, I'm going to scare you by spitting in your face. That's loser behavior from one of the best players in the league. So Jalen Carter screws the Eagles to start, and the Cowboys come straight down the field and punch the football into the end zone. Javonte Williams, the new signee for the Cowboys, had a fantastic first half and an okay game. 2 touchdowns in the first half, but ended with 54 yards on 15 carries. He's doing a lot of splitting time with former Eagles Miles Sanders, who had 53 yards on only 4 carries, but was the person that had the fumble. The Cowboys offense looked really good in the first half, scoring 20 points, but the Eagles shut them down more so in the second half. Little shutdown, little bend, don't break, nonetheless held them to 0 points in the second half. Now, weather, big factor. There was 3 total points scored in the second half of this game alone. All right. But the weather delay, though coming off of a huge turnover by the Cowboys, really did shapeshift this game slightly differently. Here are your final numbers. Jalen Hurts, 9-23, 152 yards, 0 for 0 TD to INT, but did have 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground and 62 yards with his legs. Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on 18 carries and a touchdown, is a 16-yard touchdown run. Not much through the air for either team. CeeDee Lamb, the best receiver on the field, 7 receptions, 110 yards, also surpassed 500 receptions for his career. Congratulations to CeeDee Lamb on that one. You could tell long-term the combination of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb is going to be a good one for the Cowboys. To finish, all right, the leading receiver for the Eagles was Johan Dotson with 3 receptions, 59 yards. A.J. Brown had 1 reception, 8 yards in this game. Devonta Smith, 3 receptions for 16 yards. I probably didn't need to tell you this, but the Eagles are going to rely on their run game. Okay? You probably don't need to know this, but the Eagles' wide receiving core might take some hits in the numbers category because of how much they're going to be committed to running the football. I mean, think about it this way. You had 32 touches between your quarterback. That's a lie. You had 36 touches between your quarterback and your running back. Okay? 122 of those touches came on the ground, combined between the two of them. And then Saquon also had 4 receptions for 24 yards, and Jalen Hurts threw for 152. So the two of them essentially together put up 270 yards. Okay? That's their offense. Jalen and Saquon first, then we move to the talent we have on the outside. So the Eagles get kicked off at 1-0, a lot to clean up. Definitely coming out the gates defensively, but again, first game of the year. And the Cowboys, I think, look really good for all things considered. All right, but the question marks still remain. Will Dak Prescott be able to stay healthy the entire season? And with how good the Commanders are, with how good the Eagles are, with how much better the Giants have gotten, can the Cowboys win enough in the next 16 weeks to be able to get the postseason opportunity? We'll find out. The Rome Show here, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. 15-second break, then we come back with 32 teams in 32 days. Final day, Giants and Commanders. Very exciting. By the way, you want to sponsor a commercial? Reach out to us. Comment, DM. You can email us, theromanellas@gmail.com. But this 15-second commercial you're about to watch could be sponsored by you. You should do it. Let's do it. Back after this. Yeah. Welcome back. It's the Rome Show. Broadcasting live on the Romanella's YouTube and the Rome Show 1 on X. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got another 10 minutes or so. A little bit of a quicker show this morning. We got some workouts to get accomplished for the clones. First week of workouts for the boys. 2 weeks into the semester. Crazy. I know, crazy. I feel like we were just searching for content during baseball season, and now here we are, and we are 2 full weeks into school being back for the college. Crazy. Nonetheless, that's not going to distract us from the job right now, which is giving you a breakdown on the Giants and the Commanders. This is your final 2 teams for 32 teams in 32 days. Breaking down every team in the NFL, getting you ready for the full slate of games this Sunday. Week 1, National Football League. Let's get it going. All right. I'm thinking Giants first, then Commanders. Then we break down the games going on this weekend. All right. First and foremost, the New York Football Giants. All right. 3-14 last season. I've done a few breakdowns now to this point for 32 teams in 32 days. And I can equate the Giants the most to the Tennessee Titans. Okay. So much has gone on this offseason that you're very excited about if you're a New York Giants fan. Okay. First and foremost, the drafting of Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter. Okay. A quarterback that you believe can be the future of the franchise moving forward, and an edge rusher that helps solidify your defensive line that was already pretty good, but now is really good to extremely good when it comes to the talent and their ability to get to the quarterback. So that's first and foremost, okay? If you're a Giants fan, you should be easily more excited this season than you have been for each of the last 3 or 4 years. You finally got rid of the Daniel Jones experiment. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it needed to end, okay? And you feel like you have a foundation to build off. This is the best preseason I've seen from the New York Football Giants in a really long time. So establishing, one, Carter on the defensive side, because the defense for this team should be their strength. Okay, they come into this season, and if there's one side of the ball they feel like they need to be really good at, it's going to be the defensive side. And I think they are primed for that, especially adding Abdul Carter. So start there. Okay, how good is this defense going to be for the New York Football Giants? When you look at their ranks last year, 21st in points per game, 20th in yards, 22nd in passing, and 27th in rushing. So those are not elite level numbers, but a way better defense last year than those numbers were, and now you feel like your talent level is better. So start there. Defense shows up week by week for the Giants. They will compete in all of these games. But that's not the beginning, okay? That's the beginning. It's not the full story. The other half of this story is how the New York Giants do against intra-division teams. Last year, against the NFC East, the Giants were 0-6, okay? Now, go from 3-14, add 6 losses and turn them into wins, you're 9-8. So they're still probably not a playoff team anyways, even if they slaughtered the NFC East. But it's almost nearly impossible to give yourself the opportunity to make a playoff run, to put yourself in the right position as the year goes on, if you can't find a way to scratch off a 3-3 record against the NFC East. Because if you're going to automatically go into all those games knowing you're the underdog and you're not going to win, you start the season at 0-6. And then you really only have 11 games to make up that difference, okay? So you get to start the season off week 1, right off the jump, team in your division. Let's upset them. That'd be a great start to it. But then you got to be able to show up for those NFC East games. Finally, the win total on this team is set at 5.5, and I like that. Okay, they do have a really hard schedule. Like, obviously, the NFL tries to adjust the schedule and do different things that they can. But at the end of the day, there's no cakewalks in the National Football League, but especially for the Giants this year. According to the strength of schedule chart, the New York Giants have the hardest strength of schedule in the National Football League this year. Okay, and that's like based on like teams' win percentage last year and all that other jazz, and that could be skewed 15 different ways. Bottom line is they play good teams this year based on how good those teams were last year. Okay? So if you're a Giants fan expecting 3-14 to turn into 10-7, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I'm going to sit here and tell you, take the over. Take the over. There's going to be a really good defense. I think their offense is trending in the right direction, led by Russell Wilson right now, and then obviously their best wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. Even if Jackson Dart ends up becoming the quarterback, it's one of those scenarios where you finally feel excited as a Giants fan about even Jameis Winston, all 3 quarterback options you might have. And that might just be excitement because it's not Daniel Jones, but nonetheless, there's a lot to wrap your head around if you're a Giants fan on this team. I have them at 6-11 this season. Give me a 3-win increase for the Giants and give me the over on the 5.5. Let's go to their NFC East division foe. That would be the Washington Commanders, who they also open up with this weekend. So I will make the Washington Commanders finishing of their breakdown roll into the start of my predictions for Sunday. All right, so let's get to the Commanders first real quick. Finishing at 12-5 last year behind Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. The Washington Commanders surprised a lot of people last season. And then what did they do? They re-signed Terry McLaurin, though there was a little bit of a debate there and we didn't know what was going to happen. They bring Scary Terry back, who had an elite season last year, and they don't just sit on that. Okay, because they were a top 8, I'd call them minimum top 10 offense last year. And then they go out and add Deebo Samuel. So now you have the outside combination of Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel to couple with Jaden Daniels, the returning Rookie of the Year. He's in his 2nd season with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, and I think that can only help make this team better. One concern for me, however, though, is the offensive line. And Jaden Daniels can use his legs, okay? But I think historically we all understand that sophomore season for a quarterback is significantly different, especially from the standpoint of how defenses are going to attempt to play you. So if a defense can find a way, okay, to pressure the pocket but not allow those running lanes for Jaden Daniels to escape, I think that's going to be an area where other teams are going to have to take advantage of a reinforced offensive line, okay? Made some changes on the offensive line, the Commanders did. They added Laramie Tunsil. They traded for him from Houston. A few pieces move around there. That's where I'm looking. I think they have the weapons on offense. I think they have a really solid defense returning, okay? All of those things are pretty good to me, all right? But the offensive line. Lastly, got to be able to stop the run. They were atrocious on defense against the run last year. 136.2 yards per game given up. That is terrible, okay? So outside of working on the offensive line for your offensive sake, your running game, and the legs of your quarterback, we got to fix that run game defensively because it cannot be that easy to slash through the Commanders' defense. This could be a Super Bowl contending team if they are able to have an elite level defense like that. Their ranks on defense last year, 19th in rushing and 18th in points per game. But if you look at passing in total, they were top 13 in the league. So just have to be able to not allow an offense to gash you on the ground. Actually, let's do this. Okay, so my prediction on the Commanders is going to be they're 11-6 and they're a wild card team. Right underneath where they finished last year at 12-5. I'm going to take 15 seconds and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you my NFC East predictions, and then we are finishing this show by running through the entirety of Sunday's slate, and I cannot wait for it. Remember, you can sponsor this commercial coming up right here. Just reach out to us. We'd love for you to do that. Andrew Romanella, The Rome Show, broadcasting live on the Romanellas on YouTube and The Rome Show 1 on X. Back in 15 seconds. That's right. Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Rome Show. Broadcasting live on the Romanellas on YouTube and X. Head over to YouTube, type in the Romanellas, and hit subscribe. Or head over to Twitter X. Type in the Rome Show 1 and subscribe. Those are the two ways to do it. And if you don't do it, you are missing out. We're here every morning at 7 a.m. And it's a blast. Subscribe to the social medias, follow them, whatever words you want to use. Just make sure you do it. The Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Favorite part of any aspect of the Rome Show is Friday, running down the football games, and we get to do that for you right now. I'm going to start with the NFC East because I've given you a prediction on every division so far. Here's my prediction on the NFC East. The Eagles, 12-5. The Commies, 11-6. The Cowboys, 7-10. And the Giants, 6-11. Eagles and Cowboys represent the conference, and we'll see what happens when postseason play goes. They play each other to start the season. The Commanders are only 6.5 point favorites. That's got to tell you something. And how much better the Giants are predicted to be this season. We're in Washington. The total for this game is 45.5. For all intents and purposes, the weather looks like it's supposed to be pretty good for this game. I'm going to take the Giants at the plus 6.5. Okay. I just think that one, we saw them last year, probably should have beat the Commanders later in the year. The Malik Neighbors drop. And on top of that, again, I think they're going to be better, and it's week one. Week one presents a lot of opportunities for the people. Give me the Giants at the plus 8.5. Bet you didn't realize there was a football game tonight. If you didn't, I'm here to tell you it is. The loser in the Super Bowl last year, the Kansas City Chiefs, they take on the Chargers. They are in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Okay, so the international game. That will kick off at 8 p.m. tonight on YouTube. KC is favored by 3.5 in this game. I'm actually going to take the underdog again. Give me the Chargers at the plus 3.5. It would only make so much sense for the Chargers to go to Brazil, beat the Chiefs. We all start freaking out about how the Chiefs aren't good enough, and then they end up at 12-5 at the end of the season. The Buccaneers take on the Falcons. The Bucs are favored by 1.5 in this game on the road. Favored on the road against Atlanta. I think it's going to be a better Atlanta team. I just don't know how deep they are weapons-wise behind Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Darnell Mooney. Give me Tampa Bay at -1.5. Bengals at Browns. Bengals favored by 5.5. I'll take the Bengals at the 5.5. Though I think Joe Flacco has a little bit of magic left in him, I think the Bengals are the better team, especially by less than a touchdown. Dolphins at Colts. Indy favored by 1.5. I'm going to take Indy on the 1.5, not because of my belief in Daniel Jones as much as my lack of belief in the Miami Dolphins. The Raiders, they head to New England, and they take on the brand new Mike Vrabel-led New England Patriots. Pete Carroll faces off against the Pats with Geno Smith, and they are underdogs. Pats favored by 2.5 in this game. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me the Pats at -2.5. I could see this being a complete disaster year for the Raiders or an unbelievable year. There's really no mid-ground, in my opinion, for that unit. Whereas New England, I think, is only going to go up. New England -2.5. Cardinals at Saints. Kyler Murray and the bunch is favored on the road by 6.5. That's because of the lack of confidence in Spencer Rattler and the lack of confidence in who the New Orleans Saints even can be this year. But I'm going to take the Saints at home at the +6.5. You're playing in Louisiana. You're playing at the Mercedes Dome. I don't care how good, bad, or indifferent somebody is. I'm taking the Saints to keep that a tight game. And I don't think Spencer Rattler's going to be as bad as people think. I mean, was Derek Carr that good, New Orleans Saints fans? Is it much worse? It could be better. I have no idea. Give me the Saints at the +6.5. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5 over the Jetropolitans in New York. Aaron Rodgers, first game after the failed Jets experiment, is against the Jets in New York. You cannot write that script any better. Do I think it's going to go well for the Jetropolitans? Absolutely not. Give me the Steelers at the -2.5. Panthers at Jaguars. I cannot believe Jacksonville's favored in this game by 3.5 points. I know they're at home, and I know technically the Panthers for like a year and a half were the worst team in the National Football League. But the way they finished last year, I actually think they are set to possibly be better than Jacksonville if Cohen and Lawrence don't get Jacksonville together. Do I think the Panthers come out and outright win this game? Yeah, I do think it could happen. So give me them at the +3.5. Broncos -8.5 over the Titans at home. Simple pick. Broncos -8.5. 49ers, Seahawks. 49ers are favored by 1.5 in Seattle. Give me Seattle at +1.5. Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, new coaching staff. I don't think they're going to be great long term, but I think the 49ers have had a lot of question marks heading into week number 1. So I'll take the home team in that battle, Seattle +1.5. The Lions and the Packers. Green Bay at home is favored by 1.5. This is essentially a pick 'em. There's a lot of disrespect getting thrown the way of the Detroit Lions. A lot of disrespect. And Micah Parsons is now a Packer. Whether he plays or not, it's a whole nother animal. I'm taking the Lions here. Give me the Lions at the +1.5. I think they are understated. And I think people are just going to shoot them to the side like last year was it. Okay, they've reached their max. Let's move on. I don't think that's the case. The Texans are at the Rams. I think this is going to be a really good game. The Rams are favored by 3.5. A lot of that wanes on what Stafford's like, but he's going to play. So we'll see. Give me the Rams at -3.5. Baltimore at Buffalo, and they're favored by 1.5. I just don't get the disrespect for these good teams returning and being at home. It's wild to me. The Bills at home as an underdog by almost a field goal. That's like wild to me. I'm taking the Bills at the +1.5. And then Monday Night Football we have time for. So I will hold that pick until Monday morning. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Friday to get you ready for the National Football League season. I really hope everybody had a great show today. I hope this started your Friday off right. The Rome Show airs on the Romanella's YouTube and the Rome Show one on Twitter X. Make sure you subscribe and follow both. You enjoy your weekend. Make sure it's an electric one, okay? And we'll be back at 7:05 on Monday to break down the weekend in sports and so much more. Andrew Romanella, have a fantastic weekend. Peace!
Thank you for listening.